your mobiles or electronic devices on silent mode, please, out of courtesy to speakers, etc. And in relation to the fire exits, obviously the main exit is here towards the lift, using the staircase down to the ground floor. Please do not use the lift. And exit the building, and the assembly point is over by the swimming pool. There's a secondary route at the back of the chamber, if that one is blocked, again round to a staircase down, exiting near to where the bistro is. So I will now formally hand over to the Vice Chair.
Councillors, by the power invested in me, there's a lorry overturned down the road somewhere, so our chairman can't make it. So I have no choice, well, I suppose I do, but no choice but to adjourn the meeting for 15 minutes. If he turns up before that, we'll start again. So if you want to disperse or go and get a cup of tea, if there's any left, please feel free. Thank you. Oh, and Paul, I didn't get my gavel. I don't think the chair's got it. Thank you. The latest update is that our chairman is passing Morrison's, but in slow traffic. It could be another 10, 15, 20 minutes, who knows. So we're going to start the meeting, and formally, because I think it might involve me, I'm going to hand over to Paul here on for a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The first item on the agenda is the election of chair for 2022-23. Please, may I see, we've had the nomination of Councillor Larry Henson. Can I see a mover for that nomination, please? Councillor Edwards, thank you. And a seconder, please? Councillor Roberts, thank you. Councillor Henson, are you willing to accept the nomination?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Are there any further nominations? Thank you. Please may I see those in favour of the election of Councillor Henson as chair? Thank you. Those against? Abstentions? Thank you. I declare Councillor Henson duly elected. We will now go through handing over the chain of office and the signing of the acceptance of office. So, Councillor Henson, if you don't mind standing. Thank you.
Officers and fellow councillors and colleagues, I feel extremely privileged standing here today and given the opportunity to stand as chairman for Northamptonshire. I thoroughly enjoyed the last year supporting Paul Bell, who's carried out the role tremendously. As chairing a meeting will certainly be a hard act to follow. Well done, Paul. He's not here, unfortunately, to hear me say it. It's not the easiest of feats. And if you take your mind back to under a year ago when we were in the theatre here, you'll recall that everybody sat wherever they wanted, some up in the gallery, wearing masks, and I was newly elected. I only knew probably a third of you from the past or from Kettering, and with the masks on I hadn't got a clue what was going on, but Paul did very, very well. And thank goodness I wasn't chairman then. Now you've all got the names, and Paul has given me a montage of all the faces that went with it, and I pin it on the wall at night, and I can't go to sleep before I've gone through it 3 times. I would like to, in particular, thank the officers, Rob, Adele, and Paul and Ben over there for the work that they have done in briefing Paul and I for the last year, It's been fantastic. I've got a book with everything in it as we go along. Any question I've wanted to ask has been answered straight away in a very straightforward manner, and it's great to work with such a team. Excuse me. I'd also like to thank Alison Beattie, no relation to Tom, before you Labour guys start getting chomped in at the bit. But she is the Civic Secretary, and she's been a great help over the last year, telling me what to say, what to do, where to go. Paul, as you know, has had a bit of mobility problems, so I've been, since about last October, November, I've been standing in on 90% of the civic functions. I've probably done about 30. Only this week I spent a whole day at RAF Molesworth in the NATO building, seeing how everything works. I've been to the theatres, symphony orchestras, old folks' homes, etc., etc. I've had a great time. Alison, thank you very much for all you've done. I'd also like to mention my wife Jenny, who's here. She's been a great support to me. I'd like to thank her for all that. And she's been to absolutely every event with me. She's a former mayor of Kettering, a long time ago, 08, 09. And it's great. You're so supportive. And in that, I first met Councillor Barbara Jenny, you'll probably hear a bit more of shortly, and her husband David, because they were on the civic rounds at the same time, and a friendship has emerged from that, so you'll see the connection. And lastly, I look forward to meeting new people and new ventures and representing our council to the highest standard we possibly can. My only sad thing is that my own parents aren't here to see it today, having gone many years ago. But had they been here, they'd have been 102 each. So probably was never going to happen. But anyway, thank you very much, colleagues. Yeah, the next item of business, colleagues, is to receive nominations for the position of Vice Chair for the year 2022 and 23. Please may I see a councillor to move the nomination of Councillor Barbara Jenny. Now you all realise where it fits in what I've said. It's for me, is it? They didn't tell me that. I would like to nominate Councillor Barbara Jenny. May I see a councillor to second that motion, that nomination? Do you want me to do that as well? Councillor, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'd be delighted to second Councillor Barbara Jenny as the Vice Chairman. Barbara's an experienced chairman. She was Chairman of Licensing at East Northants Council, Chairman of Employment on this council, and most importantly, she was Mayor of Rushton for twice, and represented Rushton very well as a great ambassador, and I'm sure she'll do the same as a support for you, Chairman. So I would like to second her.
Thank you, Councillor Mercer. Councillor Barbara Jenny, do you accept the nomination? That's the first thing, I suppose.
I will if I can get the thing. Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. If yes, we go through the election procedure. Please may I see those in favour of the election of Councillor Barbara Jenny as Vice Chair for 22-23. Those against? Any abstentions? Looks like we both got away with it, Barbara. Thank you. I hereby declare Councillor Barbara Jenny duly appointed. If you'd like to come forward, please.
Chair, I think put Barbara's badge on. It's all right.
Better not damage that, only just got it.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Barbara, please?
Yes, please, Chairman. Firstly, oh, sorry. That's block number 1. Right, I'm very pleased to see that Councillor Bell has now actually joined us. So I'd like to add my thanks to Councillor Bell for his term as chairman. His steady hand and wise counsel have brought us through to a successful conclusion of our inaugural year. I would also like to congratulate Councillor Henson on his appointment to the chair for the coming municipal year. As he's mentioned, we have past history, shall I say, but I wish him well, and all of us, officers and members, for the year ahead. I have no doubt that by all working together, we will continue to build on what has already been achieved and deliver a council that serves all the people of North Northamptonshire. Finally, thank you, members, for affording me the privilege of serving as Vice Chairman of the Council. I will do my best to support Councillor Henson in his role and to further enhance the high standing of this Council, both locally and within the wider community. So, thank you, members.
Thank you, councillors. Moving forward now, are there any apologies for absence? Councillor Nicholl, please.
Yes, apologies from the Conservative group. Councillor Sims, Brackenbury, Harrison, Waters, Smith, Brown, Lawman, and that's Councillor Graham Lawman and Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholl. Councillor Matt Keane, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies from the Labour group. We've got Councillor Leanne Buckingham, Councillor Valerie Anslow, and Councillor Simon Riley will be later due to work commitments.
Thank you, Councillor Keane. Councillor Emily Fedorovich, please. I see they've moved you across somehow.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we have moved. I've got apologies today for Councillor Jim Hakewill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fedorovich. Paul Galt, are there any other apologies, please?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Declaration. Oh, sorry, Councillor. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was rather hoping that this council could recognise in the traditional way the anguish and suffering of the people tied up in the horrendous incident in Uvalde in Texas. I don't know if that's something that you would endorse, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I would endorse that. I don't know where I go from here with that, but certainly I do, and I'm sure we all do.
Perhaps a minute's silence and the rest.
Yes, I'm quite happy. We can have a minute's silence. Do we remain seated? Or do we stand? Oh, you can remain seated, but we'll have a minute's silence if we have the timekeeper, please. Thank you. Yes, please start. Thank you, members. I now move on to declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest that councillors wish to make related to the item to be discussed? No, thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting. The next item is the minutes of the meeting held on the 31st of March 2022. Are there any issues in relation to the accuracy of the minutes? We are doing well. Nothing? Thank you. I would like to move that the minutes of the 31st of March, please may I see a seconder? Councillor Smithers, thank you. All those in favour of those minutes, please. Those against? Abstentions? Then that's carried. Thank you. The council has been informed of the leadership of the recognised political groups. The council is invited to note these appointments. Please may I see a mover? Councillor Lawman, please.
Chairman, I herewith move the report, please.
Please may I see a seconder? Councillor Howell, thank you. Please may I see all those for the recommendation? Those against? Abstentions? That's carried, thank you. The leader's address to the council. Please may I see the leader of the council to address the annual council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to say a few words on behalf of the Council to congratulate and thank Councillor Paul Bell for not only being the first Chair of Northamptonshire Council, which in itself is quite an accolade, but also for being the Chair of the shadow authority that preceded that, and I suspect this is something very few people in this country can actually say. So Councillor Bell has helped steer our council meetings through the tail end of a global pandemic, and that shouldn't be underestimated. He's endured numerous venues, both physical and virtual, to chair these meetings. I'm sure all of us here today will thank Councillor Paul Bell for his splendid chairmanship of the meetings. I'm also sure that councillors will join me in offering a warm welcome to Councillor Henson and Councillor Barbara Jenny as his deputy, and I'm sure this is going to be a colourful year. But thank you very much. So thank you, Chair. 1 year ago today, we had our first council meeting at the conference centre in Kettering. I'm sure we all recall clearly those perspex screens and face masks and social distancing at that meeting. It's an honour to share this chamber with you all today in what now feels like a much better situation. As we all knew back then, Northamptonshire Council was created on the 1st of April 2021, and this new council was elected shortly afterwards in May. Both events happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, and our staff
ourselves and elected members have worked tirelessly not to just help establish a new council, but to serve North Northamptonshire with dedication and commitment. Before I go any further, Chair, I feel we should publicly acknowledge the hard work and dedication of our staff, whether doing their job undeterred by the challenges of COVID-19 or responding to the emergency calls following a little mini hurricane in the area, or stepping away from their normal day job to help those fleeing Afghanistan and Ukraine. Our staff have been quick to respond on every challenge that's been put before them. Chair, I would like to propose a standing ovation to our dedicated staff, with your indulgence. As a council, we are united in our desire to improve public services. This is in our DNA, and as a council, we have not shied away from tackling the difficult issues we have faced along the way. We've worked thoughtfully through to set out an agenda for change. Together, this council has set out an ambitious plan for the future for North Northamptonshire. These ambitions are embodied in the Council's first corporate plan that was formally adopted at Council back in December last year. But things have not stood still while we did this. The Council has worked hard to unify and transform services across North Northamptonshire, whilst at the same time maintaining a balanced budget that the Council has worked so hard to set. Since the Council's very beginning, services have remained safe and legal. And let's not forget, that's a term that many of you in this room would have heard many of times before, because that was the main focus of this first year of this council. But this council has achieved so much more than just safe and legal. We have planted over 4,000 trees for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. This is not only important symbolically, but it's also good news for the environment too today, and also for generations to come. And I was delighted to hear, Chair, that the Hazel and Thurcell Woods in Corby was recently designated part of a network of 70 ancient woodlands in the country dedicated to the Queen in celebration of Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee. Regarding our progress in taking a lead on environmental issues, we hosted our very own climate conference back in November last year. We've made good progress with the installation of electric vehicle charging points, a partnership that has been shortlisted for 2 national awards. And we've developed the e-scooter partnership with Void Technology too, with over 500,000 rides completed in the last year. And importantly, we've set aside a sum of £1 million in our budget to help progress climate initiatives over the next 3 years, helping meet the ambitious climate targets that we have set as a council. Although we've undoubtedly made progress on the climate change agenda, we still have plenty more that we need to do in the months ahead. As a council, we have worked to connect with our local communities. We've consulted directly with thousands of residents via numerous consultations on important issues that affect people where it matters most, where they live. We've worked to build links with parish and town councils and conduct the business of council in an open and transparent way. We have held almost 250 formal committee meetings and subgroups and enabled all 78 of our council members to play their part in shaping North Northamptonshire as a place. We've made positive progress in unifying our services. For example, we recently brought refuge, recycling and street scene services serving the Wallamba area back in-house. This has taken months of preparation of work to achieve, but now puts us in an excellent position to begin to drive forward further improvements. To help address inequalities, health inequalities, our public health colleagues have led the delivery of an outreach vaccination clinic to those at higher risk of infection. This has included providing vaccinations for the homelessness, rough sleepers, alcohol and drug service users, residents of domestic abuse shelters, our BAME communities, migrant workers and unregistered citizens from the Afghan refugee programme. We've worked alongside the voluntary and community organisation as well, faith leaders as well, to engage with these high-risk groups. Due to the success of this programme, our work will continue into 2022 and 2023. Moving forward, we need to continue to strengthen services across the board in vital areas such as adult social care and children's services. We have also developed our approach to areas such as environmental planning and enforcement. By tackling the root causes and focusing on the prevention as well as a cure, we can start to make a sustainable difference to the quality of life in this area. And I would like to see us tackle some of the other issues that have eluded us for far too long, such as unadopted roads. We want our wildflowers growing in the verges, feeding the bees, and not in the roads and pavements, feeding our residents' frustrations. And we need to make sure that we are levelling up our communities, but importantly, we need to define what that means in terms of outcomes. But we still have plenty of work to do because our local communities need our help and that of our partners. We've made good progress in this area, and I also commend the work of our Scrutiny Commission on the Levelling Up agenda. There has never been a more important time for this, given the context of global events and the cost of living crisis that we're undergoing at the moment. And on the subject of cost of living, we have improved the pay for our lowest paid workers, essential for helping attract and retain staff in our vital services such as adult social care. We must continue to find ways to attract and retain our staff who together make this council what it is. It is not only our staff that we are helping. Through the efficient allocation of the Household Support Fund, we have helped families who are in most of need. We have provided vouchers to help with the cost of food shopping and vouchers to those who are eligible to assist pay their utility bills. And we have continued to provide free school meals this academic year to families to help adjust them to the post-pandemic way of life. I'd like to say more about our achievements, Chair, but I just want to say a few words about the year ahead. There is no doubt as a council that we have made progress. However, we are still only really at the start of our improvement journey. We are working to develop the right culture to help make a council a future provider of high quality services and one of the regional employers of choice. This will naturally take time, but our ambition for the future is bold and it is very clear. As we move into our second year, we're gathering pace, emboldened by our experiences and learning of our first year. We will focus on fulfilling the key commitments that we have made to our local communities and will do so whilst focusing on balancing the books and living within our means. But Chair, that doesn't mean we need to scrimp and scrape. In addition to the £1 million I mentioned to help deliver our environmental objectives, we have proposed £37 million of capital investment in key facilities in the local area over the next 3 years. Chair, that means investing in our schools, in our roads, in our town centres, and in more modern public service that better meets the needs of our local communities. We have committed to supporting rural bus services, a vital lifeline for so many people. Social isolation is a thing and it needs to be eradicated. We will continue to invest in our town centres and importantly attract the much needed inward investment so vital for our local economy. A good example of this, Chair, is the recent announcement from government that Northamptonshire is to get a funding injection into our garden community scheme. This will help us deliver growth responsibly and ensure we keep environmental sustainability at the forefront of our minds. We have allocated £1.3 million to invest in services and service improvement initiatives. We will continue to promote a shared understanding of what high-quality adult social care is and what needs to be done to achieve it amongst people who use our services and with key partners and staff. We will continue to take up a joint approach to encourage improvement and champion high-quality care that makes a real difference to the lives of people who use our services, their families and carers too. And this year, as a priority, we will progress our work on defining our community hub offer for the area. These have the potential to make a significant difference in the lives of those people who need our help and that of our partners the most. And to help North Northamptonshire's heart and soul, we will focus upon the vibrant events and the cultural services too. This last year, we opened Chester House and it's proven to be a raging success. This year, we will open Kettering Gallery and Library, and that promises to be equally as exciting too.
We will be providing vital grants to the local community and voluntary organisations to help deliver the priorities for North Northamptonshire, especially those in the areas of greatest need. We're making bold moves for the area too, such as a submission of a bid to take North Northamptonshire to make North Northamptonshire the new headquarters for Great British Railways, further underlining our commitment to bringing more jobs and investment into the area. As a council, we clearly have ambitious plans for the future. However, we know that we make the biggest impact when we work together with public sector partners, the voluntary and community sector and businesses to harness our collective skills and ability. And in the year ahead, we will do more to work with our partners and stakeholders to define what North Northamptonshire as a place aspires to be for our residents, businesses and communities. With this in mind, over the coming months, the Chief Executive and I will be working with members to start to develop our strategic approach to bringing together all the key stakeholders, partners and towns and parish councils to create a framework and a vision to make North Northamptonshire the place we all know our communities and businesses want it to be. Chair, I look forward to reporting back to you more on this in the future, but now I would like to end just by saying it's been an honour to be part of this council. Together, we are without a doubt making history. Together, we are building a legacy for our children and their children to come. Together, Chair, we can make a difference here today, tomorrow and for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smithers. Please may I see Councillor John McGee, the leader of the Labour Group, to address the annual council, please, John.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't know I was going to be asked to address the council, but I will firstly say congratulations on your new role and indeed the Vice Chair, congratulations. But can I say first from our group, heartfelt thank you to Paul, who did a fantastic job in a very difficult year. And he did a very fair job as chair and he treated everyone equally. And he's a gentleman, he's a true gentleman. And I really want to thank him for his year as chairman, as chairperson. Chair, I listened to your leader talking about the new council. Of course, in opposition, it's our role to support and help and bring ideas forward and work together. But it's also our role to say where things are going wrong and raise that. And that's what we in opposition want to do. And there's been some fantastic work this last year. We recognise that. Of course it has, and it's been difficult as a new council to get everything together to harmonise this North Northants. My only problem is every time we do that, the people of Corby get more cost or have to pay out more. So harmonisation is not working for everyone, that's for sure. But I understand that we have to harmonise services, but we don't have to have the same losers each and every time. But I will applaud the leader of your group for mentioning the staff. What a hard job they've had, haven't they, in the last year, through COVID and through a new council. And they've been an absolute fantastic set of staff, and I too want to thank each and every one of them from the top to the person that's gone out to the houses and helping our older folk. They've done a fantastic job, Chair. That's all I'm going to say just now. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McGee. Please may I see Councillor Fedorovich, the leader of the Green Alliance Group, to address the council, and can I also congratulate you on your appointment as Deputy Mayor of Kettering Town Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I very much appreciate that, and very much welcome to your new roles, both of you. I also want to echo Councillor McGee's thank you to Paul and also to you, Adele. Just both of your thoughtfulness and dedication, both respective roles, has been very, very helpful to all of our team and the whole council. It's been an exciting year, getting our feet into the table for the whole council, as well as us new councillors. And it's been fascinating learning more about the different council departments, about policies, processes, and most importantly, learning actually how to get stuff done for our local residents. From street cleans to helping with housing and so much more, it's been an honour to get to know more of the officers working so hard behind the scenes to help people each and every day. Getting to know the rough sleeping team was actually a bit of a highlight for Des and I, as homelessness is an issue close to both of our hearts. We have now finally committed to net zero target for 2030, which we fought for last year, and that's a really great achievement, a commitment, and something that we'll really have to work hard not only to stick to, but hopefully to meet even sooner than that. And overall, it's just been a truly fantastic experience, and I know we've got a lot more good to do this year, and I can't wait to get cracking. We're, of course, delighted to welcome Charlie Best to the Green Alliance, and a huge congratulations for your success in Oundle. Your knowledge and expertise is an asset to this council, as well as to our group, and I love your passion for your community and your straight-talking approach. I look forward to very much collaborating more closely with you and supporting you however I can, as I know the team and wider members will too. Some of the best people I've ever known have been consistently self-critical, considered themselves never good enough, and always tried to improve. That's what I want us to be as a council. The moment we stop trying to be better, we'll fall behind. Rob said this in his latest view from the bridge, that we need to lift up the rocks, uncover the issues, and not put them back down again until they're solved. And I do believe that we're building that culture, and huge credit to Rob for this. But whilst we lack the resources to get there at the moment, we aren't shirking away from problems. We know we have a lot of issues in this council. There's a lot to tackle. We need to stay focused and motivated and positive, and most of all, self-critical. So what do we need to tackle head on? We're a year on, and there are a lot of things that have lagged. Obvious solutions like solar on warehouses haven't been pursued whatsoever. Green spaces are being built on left, right and centre, whilst existing buildings lay dormant and empty, and a better way to handle this needs to be built into our new Northants strategic plan. Until then, this lack of strategy means we're not adapting to the climate crisis, and some developments have already done incredible amounts of damage we can never repair. My grandma moved to Kettering just before the pandemic hit, and she said to me the other day, "This is the county of warehouses, isn't it?" Which, instead of pushing industries of value in science, in technology, in things that are going to enrich our local communities, instead we're actively pushing logistics. We need to be inspiring our residents, and to do that, we need the jobs that are going to do that, the ones that are going to build a better future. Carbon literacy training. Pause. Despite yesterday not coming across quite as intended, and indeed I am very, very sorry if I caused anyone any offence. At the end of the day, I have a relentless habit of always seeing the positive in things. And despite everything, it's done one thing. We're all talking about it. I aim to shine a light on it, and it's certainly done that, and really that's what is needed. Had I sent something unexciting, probably people would have ignored me, but I should have been better in my wording. But we still know as a council now why some councils are struggling to make this training, and we can now find a better solution that suits people more. I do appreciate that with it being 8 hours, it is quite hard to fit in, especially if you're working full or even part-time. So this feedback has been really, really valuable to help more people leverage this, because it's such a vital training. And members of all parties have actually come up to talk to me about it and say how much they enjoyed it. In addition to that, once we have a certain percentage of councillors and officers trained, we'll also become an accredited carbon literate council, which will be a huge credit to all of us when we get there. So that's why I'm pushing for it. That's why I'm pushing for numbers. It will be a great thing to shout about for all of us, and it will be a really brilliant achievement. Other things to include the fact that sort of planning policy quick wins that I've pushed have stalled for no reason, and we're yet to hear anything about the 1 million set aside for climate change. Communication is in need of focus, and improvements should be top priority, which I believe they are. Councillors and members of the public are finding NNC very inaccessible, as do the town and parish councillors. Our consultation processes are so efficient, they are completely not fit for purpose. People on the ground really feel out of the loop, and more often than not can't cut through the council speak to understand a matter. One simple idea would be to have more explainer videos for consultations to actually outline topics, or just better leverage our town and parish councillors to reach people. This also goes for ensuring people understand how to access support for things like energy bills. People in such a time of turmoil right now, our communications team have a lot of responsibility, but creating good processes with town and parishes, council and community groups is going to be key in spreading the right information. We need to be collaborating with the public more. We seem to be scared of that as a council. We have got to ask for help. Yesterday, I was in a meeting about planning and how we should be, at the very least, requesting better energy standards from developers, because some will deliver on a polite request. The best things both officers and I have achieved this year was when we worked together. That's where passion and action from both sides can come together to achieve some really awesome results. And that's what we're all here for, to get results for our residents and make North Northants better. There's a lot of good things to come. I'm excited about the LC whip being completed in Kettering and the next one's in neighbouring towns. I'm excited to see us secure funding to decarbonise our transport. I'm excited to see the 500k for climate change defined into projects and delivered this year. We're certainly moving in the right direction, and I'm proud to be part of a council that's working so hard to close these various gaps. So well done to the officers for our first year, and let's keep focused and motivated and positive, and most of all, self-critical. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fedorovich. Thank you to all three of you for your contributions. Now, I now invite the leader of the council to confirm the executive appointments at the start of this municipal year. There is no debate on this, it's just a statement. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Smithers.
Thank you, Chair. You will note on your desks that you should have a report which states that the executive appointments all remain the same, as does the deputy leader, all apart from the obvious vacancy in housing and communities, which will be filled within the next 28 days, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smithers. We'll now deal with the committee membership and appointment of chairs, vice chairs of committees for the forthcoming year. And I'm going to ask the interim Democratic Services Manager, Paul Galt, to introduce this report because it's just a little complicated. Thank you.
Well, hopefully, Chair, not too complicated, because if I wrote it, it won't be.
It is for me.
We need, as a council, obviously, to appoint to the committees for the coming year, and obviously, in line with the council's constitution, to appoint to the positions of chair and vice chair of various committees. You will note, I think, from the sheet that was on your table, that we are proposing an additional recommendation just to make sure we are watertight in relation to certain bodies that are creatures of statute that we send representatives to. They aren't council committees as such. They are, if you like, joint committees with a small j and a small c. And they include things such as the police panel and so on. And you will see that additional recommendation as written. We've run the political balance regulations, rules. All the information's in the appendices, and we have circulated something which is always a bit of a moving feast, the group nominations for the various committees. You have the most up-to-date, well, it was up-to-date about 30 minutes ago anyway, a copy of the committee membership for the forthcoming year. But I would, of course, remind group leaders that that can be amended during the course of the year by a simple email. I think that's all I've got to say, Chair. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'm suggesting that we try and deal with the, shall I call it, uncontentious business first, before moving on to those positions which may be subject to election. So over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Is there any questions for Paul before I carry on? No? Thank you. I appreciate that some of the chairs and vice chairs positions are contested and will need separate votes. I'm therefore proposing to take the recommendations in stages. Firstly, may I see a mover and seconder for recommendations 1, 2 and 4 only to agree the political proportionality applied as per Appendix A, to note the respective group nominations to committees as contained in Appendix B, and to note the monitoring officer's delegation.
Sorry, Chair. Can I just add in, obviously, the additional recommendation into that, which would be recommendation 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5.
Thank you, Paul. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Binley?
Yes, Chair, I'm happy to propose.
Any seconder, please?
Yes, I will second.
Thank you, councillor. Please may I see those in favour? Those against? Abstentions? Thank you, that is carried. Next, may I see a mover and seconder for the uncontested nominations only as detailed in Appendix B?
Sorry, Chair, this is for the chair and vice chair positions as listed in your papers. So those that are uncontested, where we have only received one nomination, those are the ones that the chair is proposing to take en bloc. So this is not a vote on those positions where there are contested elections. Thank you, Chair.
Mover and seconder, please.
Chair, I think Councillor Smithers, can you call me down?
Councillor Smithers, please.
Thank you, Chair. We just need to make a slight amendment on the Wallamba Area Planning Committee, and there's a change of name there through the chairman of that committee to put Paul Bell, Councillor Paul Bell, as chair of the committee, and Councillor Hallam will step down from that position.
Councillor Hallam, you would like to speak, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This has been a discussion, obviously, for some time. And now that I've moved my local base into Kettering, so out of the Wallamba area, it makes perfect sense that people from that area sit on that committee. So I'm happy to withdraw. But obviously, you know, you have my full support, and I'm looking forward to working in the other areas that I cover. But I'd really just like to say very briefly a huge thank you in this first year to all the officers involved. You know, they've been fantastic. And you can pass it on, please.
Thank you, Councillor Hallam. Mover and the seconder, please. Councillor Binley again.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose Councillor Bell for the position of Chair of the Wallamba Planning Committee.
And this is for all the uncontested matters, not just Councillor Bell.
Chair, yeah, just to clarify, the Conservative group have made an amendment to their nominee for that position, so that's automatic. So, Councillor Binney, would you like to move the uncontested list?
Ditto.
And a seconder, please.
As before, Chair.
Thank you. Nearly got you, Councillor Llewell. Next time. Those in favour of the uncontested, thank you. Those against? Abstentions? 1. That's carried. Thank you. Now, the following nominations have been received from the Conservative group. Paul, to read these out, please.
Very briefly, Chair, the Conservative nominations for Vice, it's being proposed to take these as a list, a vote on each list. So the Vice Chair of Scrutiny Commission, Councillor Watt, Chair of Strategic Planning, Councillor North, Vice Chair of Strategic Planning, Councillor Bell, Chair of Employment Committee, Councillor Barbara Jenny, Vice Chair of Employment Committee, Councillor Matt Binley, Chair of Corby Area Planning, Councillor Kevin Watt, and Vice Chair of the Corby Area Planning Committee, Councillor David Sims. So we need a mover and seconder chair for the Conservative nominations.
I would like to move that, please.
Councillor Macaulay-Nicholl, thank you. Seconder?
I'm very happy to second that, Chair.
Thank you. And the following nominations have been received from the Labour group.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair of the Scrutiny Commission, Councillor Zoe McGee, Chair of Strategic Planning, Councillor Alison Dalziel, Vice Chair of Strategic Planning, Councillor Alison Dalziel, Chair of the Employment Committee, Councillor Matt Keane, Vice Chair of the Employment Committee, Councillor Keane, Chair of the Corby Area Planning, Councillor Alison Dalziel, Vice Chair of the Corby Area Planning, Councillor Alison Dalziel, and we need a mover and seconder for the Labour group nominations, please, Chair.
I'd like to move that, Chair.
Thank you.
And I will second.
Thank you. Can we can take these en bloc, can we? We're all happy to do that. Fine, thank you. The All nominations have been duly moved and seconded. As we have two sets of nominations received for chairs and vice chairs of certain committees, I propose that we vote on them in a single vote. Please vote in favour of either the Conservative nominations or the Labour Group nominations, or abstain. Please may I see all those for the Conservative Group nominations, please. And all those for the Labour Group nominations, please. And abstentions. That's carried for the Conservative Group, councillors. Thank you. Municipal timetable, yeah. We'll now deal with the municipal timetable for 22 and 23. Please may I see the interim Democratic Services Manager to address this report, please. Paul?
Thank you. Members will be familiar with this from the meeting on the 31st of March. I just wanted to highlight a couple of minor tweaks that have been presented since that meeting. One or two of the timings of the executive advisory panels have shifted as a result of clashes being uncovered with other meetings. We've also we've also included, as you may already be aware, an additional full council meeting in the diary, which is on the 23rd of June, and just an explanation of why that's an additional, or I say additional, it'll be a full council meeting, but it wasn't previously planned, but there is a requirement on the council to present its formal representations to the Boundary Commission on the review of North Northamptonshire Council's boundaries. This is the stage 1 consultation on council number, and that needs to be submitted early in July. So it is intended to take that draft submission, which has been developed by the working group, and bring it to council on the 23rd of June. And in addition, the other report that's certainly going to be coming to the 23rd of June will be the independent remuneration panel's report on members' allowances, which has already had a slight airing in Democracy and Standards Committee, but that will be coming to the 23rd of June as well. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Any questions for Paul, please? Councillor Mercer.
Thank you. Not a question, but in view of the extra council meeting, which is at the same time as the planned police, fire and crime panel, as chair of that panel, I'm seeking an alternative date for the panel so that they don't clash. I haven't got one settled yet.
Thank you, Councillor Mercer. Councillor Mark Pengelly, please.
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to thank the officers for putting this forward. It's been really helpful. Can we just urge that we keep to the dates? I know last year was the first year we changed dates around from time to time. It's really difficult for those that are working. And can we also urge that you look at the timings of full council meetings? You said you were going to bring a report back on that. We know you're still working on it, but I know a lot of my fellow members are really struggling to get time off for council meetings because they've got to take time off for other meetings as well. So we'd just like that report to come forward sooner rather than later. But thanks for all the work you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pengelly. Anybody else, please, would like to? Paul would like to respond to that.
Yeah, I'd just like to come back. Apologies to Councillor Mercer and the other members of the panel. Unfortunately, the date was rather dictated by venue availability, unless we wanted to go on tour again, which I don't think any of us really want to. And in relation to Councillor Pengelly, yes, as was previously stated by Councillor Lorman at a previous meeting, the Democracy and Standards Committee will receive a report in due course on the options and an appraisal of the timing of full council meetings. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Please may I see a mover and seconder for the recommendations, please? Councillor Laura Lorman. Thank you.
Chairman, may I move the report of the draft municipal timetable 22-23, and first of all, my congratulations on your appointment and that of Councillor Barbara Jenny. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank our officers and those involved in actually raising the municipal timetables. As you can see from the pages and pages, there's an awful lot of work that has gone in there. So on behalf of everybody, thank you to those officers who've been involved, and I herewith propose.
Thank you. A seconder, please.
I would like to second that motion and also pass on my thanks to the officers' time put into this.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholl. Does any councillor wish to speak on the report? I think we've had a couple already, but is anybody else? Thank you. Right, the recommendations have been moved and seconded. Please may I see those for the recommendations? Those against? And abstentions? Thank you. That's passed, councillors. Thank you very much. There are urgent business. There are no items of urgent business on this occasion. Well, that's it, just when I was getting going. Thank you, councillors, officers and members of the public for your attendance today. I now declare the meeting ended. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Well
you.
done.